Imagine a world where a single business deal could change the future of technology, shift global power, and ignite a race for AI dominance. That's not a sci-fi movie plot. It's happening right now in the heart of Texas. But is this the dawn of a new digital empire, or the start of unprecedented risks for us all? In June 2024, Oracle announced its jaw-dropping plan, a $40 billion investment in Nvidia's next-generation AI chips. Why? To build what could become the single most powerful AI data center on U.S. soil, specifically in Abilene, Texas. And the prime tenant for this digital fortress? OpenAI, the creator of ChatGPT and the company that's already rewriting the rules of what's possible with artificial intelligence. But what does a mega deal like this really mean? What happens when you pour billions into AI infrastructure? And could this be the final push that tilts the tech world's axis? As the world's leading minds and billions of dollars converge, we're left with a burning question. Who will control tomorrow's intelligence, and at what cost? Let's rewind. Less than a decade ago, the idea of a single company buying $40 billion worth of computer chips would have sounded like madness. Today, it's the new battleground. Let's get to the heart of why this investment is anything but ordinary. The deal centers around Nvidia's GB200 AI chips. These aren't just any processors. They are the crown jewels of silicon, each designed to crunch the immense calculations needed to train and run the world's most demanding AI models. Oracle has agreed to buy roughly 400,000 of these chips, an unprecedented volume that's left the entire semiconductor industry stunned. And what are these chips for? They're destined for a new $10 billion 1.2 gigawatt data center, part of Project Stargate, a grand $500 billion vision to lock U.S. leadership in AI. This is not just a data center. It's a technological stronghold, cementing America's position at the forefront of the AI race. To put things in perspective, a 1.2 gigawatt data center is a colossus. It could power a small city. It's built from the ground up to handle the mind-boggling energy and cooling demands of trillion-parameter AI models. These aren't spreadsheets or streaming videos. We're talking neural networks so vast they can generate text, images, software code, even sound and video, at a scale the world's never witnessed. But this isn't just about speed or scale. Oracle's move signals the next phase of the digital gold rush. By leasing this computing power to OpenAI under a 15-year agreement, Oracle positions itself as a gatekeeper to the next era of artificial intelligence. Safra Catz, Oracle's CEO, put it bluntly, "This partnership will supercharge business innovation globally." But innovation has a price. The project is fueled by major financiers. JP Chase provided $9.6 billion in debt, while Crusoe and Blue Owl Capital put up a combined $5 billion in cash. These are not reckless bets. These are calculated moves by powerhouses who believe AI infrastructure is the next oil, foundational, invaluable, irreplaceable. Jensen Huang, Nvidia's charismatic CEO, is equally direct. AI is the most transformative force of our time. His company is now the backbone of this revolution, having become the world's undisputed supplier of AI hardware. Even the likes of Elon Musk's xAI are clamoring for Nvidia's technology. In fact, Nvidia's chips are so in demand that analysts at Bain & Company warn chip shortages could persist, creating bottlenecks despite this tidal wave of investment. But why now? Why this scale? A perfect storm is brewing. The appetite for AI isn't just coming from Silicon Valley, it's everywhere, from Wall Street to Hollywood, from hospitals to government agencies. The algorithms born in these data centers will diagnose diseases, create art, predict markets, even help shape policies. The tools being forged are powerful, so powerful, in fact, that some experts warn we could be building machines whose intelligence rivals our own. Michael Dell, CEO of Dell Technologies, says, "Generative AI is the next frontier. It's about creating smarter systems, not just faster ones." For OpenAI, having access to such unprecedented computing resources could accelerate the leap from today's ChatGPT to tomorrow's even more capable, even more unpredictable language models. Sam Altman, OpenAI's CEO, believes Nvidia's Blackwell architecture, the engine inside these new chips, will accelerate the delivery of the world's most advanced AI models. But behind the optimism, there are deep undercurrents of rivalry and risk. This deal doesn't just supply raw computing power, it subtly shifts the delicate balance in the AI ecosystem. Until now, Microsoft had been OpenAI's main cloud provider. Analysts at the Financial Times point out, the new data center will help OpenAI reduce its dependence on Microsoft, suggesting a shifting balance of power within AI. The Oracle-Nvidia OpenAI triangle is reshaping the tech landscape. Oracle is no longer just a business software company, it's a kingmaker in the AI infrastructure arms race. Nvidia is no longer just a chip maker, it's the foundation upon which digital empires are built. And OpenAI, it's evolving from upstart to cornerstone of the AI future. But here's where things get even more interesting and more complicated. With all this investment pouring into AI infrastructure, some are asking, can the world keep up? The demand for specialized chips is expected to drive global component needs up by at least 30% by 2026. That's an incredible surge, but the supply chain is already stretched thin. How do you feed this insatiable hunger for high-performance chips? What happens if one link in the chain breaks? And then there's the energy problem. Running trillion-parameter AI models isn't just expensive in dollars. It's costly in electricity, water, and carbon emissions. A 1.2 gigawatt data center is a behemoth. It needs sophisticated cooling, round-the-clock electricity, and robust grid infrastructure. Where will all this power come from? How do you cool thousands upon thousands of power-hungry GPUs without cooking the planet? Even Oracle's engineers are grappling with the challenge. They're working on new ways to cool their servers, recycle waste heat, and integrate renewable energy on a scale few have ever attempted. The stakes are as high for the environment as they are for the bottom line. Yet the appetite for growth doesn't stop at Texas. Across the ocean, Oracle, OpenAI, and Nvidia have already announced Stargate UAE, a 1 gigawatt AI cluster in Abu Dhabi, scheduled to come online in 2026. This is a global contest, with nations and companies racing to build the next superhub of digital intelligence. The US is determined to stay ahead, but countries like the UAE, China, and the EU are pouring resources into sovereign AI clouds, data centers built not just for computation, but for strategic autonomy. As Jensen Huang famously said, "We're building AI infrastructure to empower people everywhere, not just here in the US. But who controls that infrastructure will define the shape of the future world order." And the risks? They're not just technical. A new breed of AI cloud providers could fragment the global internet as nations seek data sovereignty and technological independence. Bain and Company warns, the pursuit of sovereign AI clouds could lead to fragmentation and hinder global collaboration. What about the rest of the world, the smaller rivals, the startups, and the academic labs that can't match Oracle's resources? Will AI progress be concentrated in the hands of a few megacorporations, or can new models of open access emerge? And what about the environmental toll? Data centers are already responsible for a growing share of global power consumption. Add AI to the mix, and the figures are dizzying. If the future of technology is built on these energy-hungry foundations, can we afford the environmental consequences? The clock is ticking. The $40 billion Oracle-Nvidia OpenAI alliance is more than just an investment. It's the opening move in a contest with global consequences, in innovation, in economics, in the very balance of digital power. So as these titans build their digital fortress in Texas and beyond, one question looms larger than all others. Who will reap the rewards? Who will pay the price? And what happens if the world's most powerful AI finds itself in the hands of a chosen few? The stakes couldn't be higher, and the answers are far from clear. In the next chapter, we'll dive deeper into the potential fallout, economic, environmental, and ethical, that could reshape everything from global markets to the core of our daily lives. The story of Oracle's $40 billion Nvidia chip acquisition, fueling OpenAI's Texas data center, is about much more than just a competition between tech titans. It's about the dawn of a new technological epoch, with profound consequences for innovation, industry, power, and for every one of us. Let's look into what happens next, as this deal ripples through not only the tech world, but the global economy and society itself. When you build the world's largest AI supercluster, the first question is, who gets to use it? Right now, Oracle will lease most of this computing firepower to OpenAI. They'll train and run the next generation of language models here, models far more powerful than anything today. But is this just the beginning? Oracle's ambitions don't stop at OpenAI. With this enormous infrastructure, they're positioned to become the backbone for anyone who wants to develop large-scale AI. Think Fortune 500 companies, national research labs, startups. With the right checkbook, they could all tap into this compute power. Oracle isn't shy about it. CEO Safra Catz said, "We're not just building for today's AI, we're building for a world where AI powers every business, every industry." But how might that future unfold? Some experts predict a new ecosystem of specialized AI clouds, where different data centers fine-tune their hardware or algorithms for niche uses: bioinformatics, autonomous vehicles, climate modeling. Oracle is uniquely poised to serve as the hardware arms dealer in this arms race. Whoever needs the fastest chips, the best bandwidth, the latest architectures, will have to line up at the Oracle window. However, this is far from a guaranteed utopia. There are risks of massive concentration, of power, of resources, of influence. As the Financial Times notes, the Texas supercluster could help OpenAI reduce its reliance on Microsoft's Azure, but it also raises the specter of a shifting monopoly. Oracle could become as dominant in AI computing as Microsoft did in desktop software, or Amazon in e-commerce. What does this mean for startups and newcomers? If access to state-of-the-art AI depends on expensive centralized cloud platforms, we might see the democratization of AI stall. The richest companies or countries could pull further ahead, harnessing AI for their own ends. Meanwhile, innovators with limited resources could find themselves locked out, forced to rely on second-tier hardware or on partnerships that come with strings attached. Yet the flip side is also possible. As Oracle and competitors build ever larger, more efficient data centers, prices for AI compute could eventually drop, just like the cost of storage and bandwidth did in earlier internet booms. The vision: a world where garage startups and indie researchers rent AI supercomputers by the hour, unleashing a new wave of creativity. This future is already coming into focus. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang is adamant: AI is not just a new computing platform, it's a new industrial revolution. Oracle's Texas project is just the opening act. The Stargate initiative, with sister projects in the UAE, aims to create a global lattice of AI infrastructure. Some analysts predict that by the end of the decade, sovereign nations will demand their own AI clouds to ensure data privacy and strategic autonomy. But all this innovation carries a steep price for both technology and the environment. The Texas data center alone will draw more than a gigawatt of energy, enough to power a major city. Even with advances in cooling, power management, and green energy sourcing, the environmental cost is staggering. Critics argue that we're hurtling toward an era where AI's carbon footprint could rival that of heavy industry. There's also the very real challenge of chip shortages. Bain & Company and others warn that even a $40 billion investment may not be enough to stave off bottlenecks. As AI adoption accelerates across sectors, finance, healthcare, logistics, the demand for cutting-edge GPUs and next-gen chips could far outstrip supply. That means delays, escalating costs, and fierce competition for hardware. Countries and corporations could begin hoarding, or even restricting, access to strategic AI resources. In a more fragmented world, the rise of national or regional AI clouds could have unintended side effects. While these sovereign clusters might enhance data privacy and regulatory compliance, they could also stifle global innovation. Imagine a world where AI breakthroughs are locked behind borders, with different countries developing incompatible models and standards. The very connectivity that has powered decades of tech progress could be partially reversed. On the other hand, Oracle's bet on scale could also accelerate solutions to precisely these problems. Their Texas data center and similar projects are pushing the envelope of sustainable construction, renewable energy sourcing, and AI-driven efficiency. Adaptive cooling, AI-optimized power grids, and next-generation chip packaging are all being stress-tested at unprecedented scale. If these solutions work, they could trickle down across the entire data center industry, reducing the carbon footprint for everyone, tech giants and hobbyists alike. And here's where the real-world lessons emerge, for businesses, for innovators, and even for you as an individual. First, it's a wake-up call. The era of AI at scale is here. Companies that want to stay competitive, from banks to biotech startups, need to start thinking hard about their infrastructure strategy. Who is your partner? How will you access AI compute? If you're building products or services that depend on generative AI, you can't ignore the changing power dynamics. Second, it's a reminder that alliances matter. OpenAI's pivot toward Oracle and away from sole reliance on Microsoft shows that in the world of high-stakes AI, no single partnership is forever. The winners will be those who can navigate shifting alliances, secure resilient supply chains, and stay nimble as the landscape evolves. Businesses should watch for opportunities to partner with emerging infrastructure leaders, not just the familiar faces. Third, For everyday viewers, it's time to learn the basics of AI literacy. As AI-driven services become more embedded everywhere, from your doctor's office to your social feed to your city's energy grid, it pays to understand where your data goes, who is building the models, and what it means when infrastructure is concentrated in a few hands. Asking critical questions about transparency, ethics, and sustainability isn't just for activists anymore. It's crucial for consumers, employees, and voters. And while the headlines focus on billion-dollar deals and data centers that span city blocks, there's a quieter revolution underway. The same Nvidia chips powering OpenAI's next GPT model will also help small teams, open-source projects, and local governments run AI applications for everything from water management to wildfire detection. As prices eventually fall, and as Oracle and its rivals race to win customers, access to AI supercomputing could become as commonplace as plugging into Wi-Fi today. Here's a secret many in the tech world don't talk about. The biggest breakthroughs often come not from the tech giants, but from the little guys who suddenly get access to the same tools. Think of the early days of the internet, when home computers and cheap web hosting spawned companies like Google, Facebook, even the first wave of YouTube creators. The hope is that the next wave of open access to AI infrastructure could unlock similar surprises, a new generation of unexpected leaders, applications, and ideas. But there are caveats. The risk isn't just economic or technological, but social. If AI power remains tightly controlled, it could amplify inequality and entrench the dominance of those who already sit at the top. On the other hand, if efforts to democratize infrastructure succeed, we're likely to see an explosion of diversity, not just in applications, but in who gets to imagine, build, and benefit from AI tools. So, let's return to the question we started with. Will this concentration of power bring more innovation or more risk? And who will emerge as the real winners and losers as the world's biggest companies and nations compete for AI dominance? The answer, as with many tectonic shifts, isn't simple. For the next few years, the giants, Oracle, Nvidia, OpenAI, will call the shots. We will almost certainly see breathtaking advances as next-gen AI models unlock new possibilities in science, creativity, and business. But the risks are very real. From monopolistic choke points and tech dependencies to geopolitical fragmentation and environmental strain. The crucial factor will be how the rest of the ecosystem responds. Will regulators step in to ensure fair access and enforce sustainability? Will new players break through with open hardware or creative alternatives to the centralized cloud? Will AI literacy rise fast enough for society to scrutinize and shape the direction of this revolution? In the end, this isn't just Oracle's story or OpenAI's or Nvidia's, it's our story. The next decade will decide whether the power of AI is concentrated in the hands of a few or unlocked for the benefit of many. That's why it matters. If you're a founder or builder, now is the time to pay attention to where the power and the data are flowing. If you're a business leader, rethink your AI partnerships and infrastructure bets. If you're a citizen, ask, who is building the systems that will shape my daily life? And what kind of future do I want from this AI revolution? Thanks for watching. If you want to better understand the forces shaping tech, hit subscribe and join the discussion in the comments. What do you think? Will these mega deals accelerate true innovation or just create new forms of digital monopoly? And what's the one AI breakthrough you hope to see next? Let us know below. And here's a final fact. Oracle's 400,000 Nvidia chips represent more compute power than was available to the entire world just 5 years ago. The future isn't just coming, it's being built right now.